Yo, what's up, boys and girls? I'm back at another video. So today, we went to the Lubbock Regional this weekend and went undefeated. Well, we didn't lose a single game. If you guys do not know, Konami's been canceling events left and right due to the ongoing virus that is plaguing the world. So initially a 5-hour trip to Lubbock was supposed to result in a regional. It was instead canceled. In addition to that, they had a small kind of mini pseudo regional there for the players that ended up making the drive out. And so huge thank you to the store and the store owner for making that event. It was a lot of fun and I actually placed pretty well. I made 9th place, so 1 win away. Yet again, even though this technically wasn't an official Konami thing, I'm still pretty proud of my placing. There was actually a really good turnout and there's also really good players there. In addition to that, I also made top cut at my local OTS store. So getting high placements at 2 OTS stores in 1 week, that's actually not that bad. And considering right now we don't have any regionals or YCSs for the near future, I thought I might showcase you guys the hero deck profile that I've been testing and playing the last couple of weeks. Now, if you guys do not know, this will be part 1 of 3, potentially 4 hero deck profiles that I will be releasing up into the new Master Rule and even then a little bit past the new Master Rule. There's a secret 4th one that I kind of want to showcase for you guys. Now, I did make a few last minute changes to this deck profile going into this regional literally the night before. And while some changes did help, it wasn't really that crazy, but I'll get into it inside the deck profile. So without further ado, take it away, Desk Swolelax. Thank you, Chair Swolelax. Yo, what's up, boys and girls? Your boy Desk Swolelax here, Best Swolelax. Back at it again with another video. This time we're doing a deck profile for heroes that I've been playing for the past couple weeks, testing out different variations, and this one has a few different changes from those other variants that I've been testing, but this is 1 of 3, potentially 4 deck profiles that I want to showcase for you guys for the heroes upcoming in the Master Rule 4 and also for Master Rule 5. And this deck actually translates really well over to Master Rule 5, so it has like a lot of tricks and stuff that you can do with it. In addition to that, frees up those monster zones for your fusion summons for sure. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the deck profile. If you guys like this video, make sure to leave a like. If you want some more, please subscribe. Got more videos coming to the pipeline, so stay tuned for that if you want to. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about this deck real quick and see what happens. So we have 1 copy of MLT Solid Soldier. This card's really interesting because you definitely want to limit the amount of normal summons inside of your deck, and it's pretty much only a 1 of. This thing gets impermanence, eveilered, or just kind of destroyed in general. You're in a tough spot because you wasted that normal summon. You particularly want to be able to extend through this deck, but it's still a good card nonetheless and helps you get to things like Mass Change and also popping back row things like Stratos. Speaking of which, 2 copies of Elemental Hero Stratos is all you need in my opinion. While this card is actually really good and I really do love this card, well, in particular, I think this card is just okay as a normal summon. Now, I get it. Stratos is amazing, and this card is absolutely nuts. But better as a special summon 1, and 2, if you are able to get it summoned back and forth from the graveyard miscellaneously, then that's phenomenal. But you definitely want to end on this card and start off with things like your Vision Heroes, just so you can get some combos going and have that option available to you to destroy back row and whatnot. So that's going to be 2 copies of Elemental Stratos, in particular not a 3rd copy because you can see it whenever you want to, you can search it when needed, and it opens up the deck for different engines and different traps that you can kind of run, just so you can give your opponent a little more run for their money. So 2 copies of Elemental Stratos in the main deck. In addition to that, we're running 2 copies of Elemental Shadow Mist. Primarily this card's use inside this deck is just to search, and you're going to send it off to the graveyard with things like Vion, just to get an extra search, or discard fodder for things like Ferris. Again, just to get an extra bit of consistency to search Stratos, search other monsters you might need. So that's what Shadow Mist is here for, primarily. And also 1 copy of Honest Neos. Great for OTKs, great for popping back row, amazing elements here lineup. And you can search this card with e-call, which is great. So that way, if you're locked out with things, with searching effects or anything like that, you can search Honest Neos. So that's also super fun. Next, onto the Vision Heroes, we have 3 copies of Vision Hero Ferris. This card is one of the best hero monsters to come out in the last decade. This thing is insane. Great extender, and in addition to that, it helps you set up for so much protection with 2 copies of Vision Hero Increase. Increase is also a crazy card inside the deck for a couple reasons, but in particular, it allows you to dodge hand traps and infinite impermanence, and it also extends your combos and plays. You can even summon out a 2nd copy of himself if need be. In addition to that, he activates as a trap card. That's a good point to remember, and he summons out 2 copies of Vision Hero Vion. Vision Hero Vion is one of the best cards and probably the best hero monster inside the entire deck. No doubt, over Ferris, over Increase, even over Stratos in some cases, because if you can see one of these cards, 1, that's a 1-card OTK, and 2, he just allows you to net so many resources sending things to the graveyard, Malicious, Shadow Mist, gaining you so much advantage off of just this 1 card. Absolutely insane, and definitely a 2 of for sure. And Increase is a 2 of because, hey, we fear God. Next, onto the Destiny Heroes, we're playing 3 copies of Destiny Hero Malicious, best extender inside the deck, super crazy. Then we're playing 1 copy of Destiny Hero Plasma into the main deck, Walking Skill Drain and a great going first option if they make you go first. And lastly, 1 copy of Destiny Hero Celestial. And if that tells you anything about what I'm playing inside the spell deck, you guys know, yes, I am testing out the Fusion Destiny build of heroes. Swolelax and Fusion Destiny coming together first time ever. Now, I will stand by that you don't need to play Down Attack. Down Attack smells, and Celestial is probably one of the best cards for it. If this grind game goes on longer, you can draw 2 cards, and usually at that point, that'll help you get back into the game if you're losing resources. So I personally like Celestial a lot instead of the other one, and you can also burn your opponent more often than not. So Celestial into Malicious for Fusion Destiny is nice, and then obviously you can Plasma, just really insane first turn board. Really hard for a lot of decks to out, so I personally like this card a lot. So just those ones right there. And finally, 1 copy of Adusted Gold for our hero lineup. This card's great. Usually you can use it as Ash bait, or in addition to that, you can help close out games. I think I won 3 of my 4 games. 3 of my 6 matches were because of Dusted Gold and because of Malicious Bane, being able to gain resources, get a big body on board that they could not out. Absolutely insane. So there is that. In addition to that, hand traps. 3 copies of Ash Blossom Joyous Spring, best hand trap currently in the game, probably of all time. This card's actually insane. I'm so sad to see people cut it from their decks. 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, just a little bit of Mirepoix if you like. I kind of like a standard ratio of Ghost Ogre in the deck because it's good against rogue decks. It's also pretty good against certain meta matchups if you know what to hit. In addition to that, it comes up every so often that you need to, and also it's a light monster, so you can use it for Miracle Fusion, so that's kind of nice. And then 2 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being inside the main deck. This card's crazy against Salamangreat Shutout. This card is crazy against people who don't play through it with Shaddolls and Invoked, so you can kind of get around it. And also, if people are being dumb and not playing through it, then you can just wipe their entire board and pretty much win from there. Great against combo decks, great against just everything miscellaneous. So Nibiru the Primal Being, 2 copies in the main deck for sure. Next, we're going on to the spell cards in the deck. We have 3 copies of Fusion Destiny. Fusion Destiny is one of those cards that personally I think is just okay at best. That's right. I'm giving you just okay, but it's still kind of a bad card if you think about it. So this card has a huge barrier in the fact of 1, actual literal dimensional barrier, and 2, the law of diminishing returns, where after you see the first one, these other 2 are essentially just dead draws. So if you draw into it things like Celestial or just draw on it for a turn, after you've already used 1 Fusion Destiny, I mean, you can't really do much other than that. And though this is a relatively powerful card, if you were able to use it right, it does have way too many restrictions. It does technically conflict with things like Sunriser and also with Stratos if you're able to special summon that. So there's a lot of problems with this card outside of just the general math involved. So I'm gonna go over that in a future video as well. There's a part 3 coming, don't you worry. But for now, we're testing it out, and it's just an okay card and additionally just okay extender. Next, we have 3 copies of Mass Change. Nothing special there. This card's actually insane. However, it is kind of interesting to play around this card if they have their own Dark Law or if they have Retaliating Sea. So just keep in mind of those changes there. Pun intended. Next, we have 2 copies of E-Call. You can search any of your Elemental Hero monsters, including Honest Neos, if you need it. Essentially, if you need to get over like a window or something, and boom, there you go. So E-Call is actually pretty insane. I like this card a lot. 1 copy of Polymerization, 1 Dark Calling, 1 Hero Lives, and 1 Miracle Fusion for the power 1-ofs inside the deck. Polymerization you use all the time. This card can also be set with things like Wonder Driver. Dark Calling is also a really great card for getting out your Malicious Bane. Hero Lives, I wish it was out more than 1, but c'est la vie. And then Miracle Fusion. This was the last minute addition to the deck that I didn't know I needed or wanted, and honestly, it didn't really perform that well throughout the weekend, and I might cut it in future variations of this specific build because I'm not playing Solid Soldier, not playing Liquid Soldier inside the deck. It's actually a lot less helpful to have this card out, so it's just but maybe if I'm playing Liquid Soldier or if you're playing the Liquid Soldier build, I might keep it in, but for the most part, you can cut that because this is a 41 card deck with it in. Next, finally, we have 2 copies of Twin Twisters and 1 copy of Cosmic Cyclone to round out our spell cards for a little bit of back row hate in the main deck. You don't want to get stuck with 1, having to deal with Mystic Mine, and 2, having to deal with back row decks and not come prepared. So we're main decking those 3 cards just as an out. Next, we're going to go into our side deck. I want to talk about our side deck just a little bit because I think there's cards in here that are really solid and also kind of pertain a little bit to the extra deck, obviously things like Super Poly Targets. So 1 copy of Cosmic Cyclone, 1 copy of Red Reboot, just for some back row hate. Again, if you see Red Reboot, you're probably going to be winning. Unfortunately, I saw this card and it did not put me in a good position because I didn't win that game just because I was just so far behind in card advantage. But generally, you do want to side this card in because it's a shutout against most back row decks and it's really solid. And another Cosmic Cyclone just in case if you want to out again another Mystic Mine or something like any of the back row decks. And then for monsters, we got 2 copies of DD Crow and 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird for just a general hand trap. We have one more hand trap we're going to talk about. We're going to save that one for the end because that one was honestly a little bit different. So DD Crow is again good against a lot of matchups: Heroes, Salamandrates, Spirals. It's also kind of a good generic card right now in the format, but I don't feel like main decking it and don't really feel comfortable main decking it, so I'm going to keep it in the side deck at 2. And then Droll and Lockbird at 3 because I was afraid of Spirals and also against a hero matchup. Any decks that primarily do a lot of searching, but I didn't even cite it in the entire time, though it might be helpful later in the format. But again, cards that kind of go in and out of format, but they're all still pretty solid. Next, 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More to deal with boards like Winda and Caliga if I needed to kind of out them and get rid of them, which I did use a couple times. Other times I used it for Super Poly fodder. Super Poly was absolutely insane. This card actually saved me so often, and it's almost a blowout inside of this Shaddoll matchup because you can fuse away their own guys for your own fusion summon. And you can also use this offensively. So you can use it as a trap card, which I did use very often. That did win me one of my rounds. But in addition to that, I did use it as a Super Poly extender. That way I need to do a little extra damage and just do just enough to where I can win. So those right there are phenomenal. And then finally, the MVP of the side deck, Retaliating Sea. Retaliating Sea is amazing. This card is just so good. It honestly, this single card I saw I played 3 or 4, I think I played 4 Shaddoll decks this weekend, and this card won me every single time going games 2 and 3 without fail. You make them go first, or if they make you go first, whatever it is, they activate Invocation or activate Shaddoll Fusion, boom. Retaliating Sea. Now they can't get off their effects because everything is banished, and 2, if they're going first, they can't really get rid of it super easily. So it's so good. It's so good. In addition to that, if they keep it on the board too, you can switch to attack position, you can attack, hit for some damage, and kind of play around it. Now, the biggest problem you run into this when you see this card is that your cards too are also Macrocosmos. However, the asterisk to this is you can definitely tribute this card and hard summon things like Ferris and activate Ferris's effect that way. Also a super solid option, and I did do that a few times, and it worked out great. This card's so good. I'd recommend signing it in probably over like Droll and Lockbird if you don't see any Spirals or having let's say there's a prominent amount of Shaddolls. Retaliating Sea is really good. And finally, onto the extra deck. So we're running 1 copy of Extra Hero Wonder Driver. I didn't summon this card too often, but it was pretty helpful with gaining back some resources. However, in that same turn, it also got evenly matched, so that kind of sucks, but very solid card, and I think whenever the vanilla fusion hero deck goes off, this card's gonna be a lot better. 2 copies of Cross Crusader, still the best extra deck hero monster by far inside the Link era as far as the Link monsters go. This card's insane, getting you so much value, essentially a hand trap magnet. However, it's also just really crazy when it goes off. And then also 1 copy of Tread Decimator to round out your extra hero monsters. So I can't wait to play with that new card that's coming out soon, the extra heroes, but c'est la vie, we'll have to wait and see that. Now, 1 copy of Predaplant Dragostapelia for your Super Poly target. This card is insane. Not only can you fuse away your own guys and gain card advantage, but if they have a dark monster and a fusion monster, aka Shaddolls, then you can use Dragostapelia. It's also negation on board, 2700 body. This card's pretty great. Seeing this card, Retaliating Sea, it usually means game for a lot of decks. Anyways, next Super Poly targets, technically, we have 1 copy of Elemental Hero The Shining. This card was kind of like a tech this weekend, and as you guys saw, 1 copy of Nova Master. I was really afraid of Salamandrates. However, I didn't see any, but this card's kind of cute for it too. You can summon Stratos or Shadow Mist, something like that, and you can Super Poly away their Link monsters, turn off Roar, or whatever you need to for the Nova Master. It's also a hero monster. I wanted to keep my Super Poly targets relatively in the hero range, but Predaplant Dragostapelia is just too good not to play, and these 2 cards were good enough. Plus, you can technically use them like if you say banish your Miracle Fusion for Ash Blossom for an extender, or the Shining, you can banish them like Nibiru or Honest Neos. And the Shining's really cool because also if it's sent to the graveyard with something like Construct's Effect, then you can add back 2 cards from your hand, 2 Elemental Hero cards from your banished pile to your hand, gaining you a lot of value in the process. Next, we have 1 copy of Destiny Hero Dystopia. Great card, phenomenal off of Fusion Destiny. You also could pop in a card. This card's probably the best fusion monster to summon with it. I don't know why people were saying like, oh, the 3 Destiny Hero monster that you can send blah blah. No, this card's the best. Run 1. Then we have 1 copy of Evil Hero Malicious Bane. Big body, can't be destroyed by card effects, can't be destroyed by battle. Absolutely crazy. Then we have 1 copy of Vision Hero Trinity, 1 copy of Elemental Hero Sunrise. So technically Sunrise was actually supposed to be a Vision Hero Adoration. However, I feel like it's technically I feel like it might be more skillful to play something like Elemental Hero Sunrise inside of your deck versus something like Vision Hero Vision Hero Adoration, excuse me. Because Trinity, first and foremost, is by far necessary for OTKs. Plan through negates, and if you can get to this card after like 1 negate or 2, and you hard draw Poly or something like that, this means game. This plus Honest Neos is game, and if it's not, you did something wrong. Sunrise, though, however, is a very, very solid card, gain you card advantage with things like Miracle Fusion. However, Popping Effect is definitely more useful. Now, I did summon this card a few times and did have to out a few negations and out a few trap cards just to have Sunrise and get out a few monsters as well, break a few boards. But Adoration might be more useful if you're running straight Dark and if not running something like Liquid Soldier as an extra little bit of attribute changes for your Elemental heroes. But Sunrise is also still just a good card, so hit or miss. I think Sunrise is great, but Adoration's a fine choice here too. And finally, for the Master Heroes, we have 1 copy of Master Hero Blast, 1 copy of Master Hero Anki, and 2 copies of the Long Arm of the Dark Law. Pretty standard for your lineup, and to dodge instrument permanents. So, that's going to be my deck profile for the March/April 2020 format for Elemental and Mass Heroes. If you guys like this video, make sure to leave a like. If you want some more, please subscribe. Go on videos coming in the pipeline, so stay tuned for that if you want to. And in addition to that, tell me down below what you guys want to see, or what you guys would change inside the deck, or what do you guys like about this current list. I might be changing it up in the near future, and of course, we have more deck profiles coming out very, very soon. So, I will see you guys in the next video. Tell me what you guys think. Peace out.